Welcome to the Reptile Room of November 2017. It's been a handful of months since I last did one. I don't like doing them monthly, I think that's too often. However, I do have multiple new animals, which you've probably seen them, especially if you follow me on Instagram, but I have not put them all in a video together. So here's the update for that. So Sunny was born August 2013. I got him December 2013. So I've had him for almost 4 years, 3 years and 11 months right now. I don't remember what his weight was originally, I have it written down, but now he is 1,130 grams as of about 2 minutes ago when I just weighed him. He is a yellow-bellied ball python. Lots of people think he's just a normal, but he's a tiny bit fancier. Got him at Repticon in Raleigh, North Carolina back in December as like an early Christmas present, I guess you could say. And he was the very first reptile I ever actually went out and bought. He is actually my first ever reptile that I've been feeding rats to. He's now permanently on the rats now. I always forget the sizes, either pups or winglings. So how big will he get? I don't know. Maybe he could be done growing, maybe not. But he's pretty big compared to how he was before. He's in the 40 gallon bioactive build. You can find a bunch of content on that. I'll link it all in the description. For the first couple years of having Sunny, you pretty much always see a little tiny bit of stuck shed on him because I was always having that trouble. I wasn't great at what I was doing. I was kind of making it up as I went along. But now I'll confidently say that his husbandry is perfected. It's definitely not the only way to care for him, but what I'm doing is doing wonders for him. Perfect sheds, perfect eating, seems very happy and very healthy. Okay, Sunny just shrank a little into a smaller form. This is the Yellow-Bellied Mojave ball python, also a male. I think it was born January 2017. This one was rehomed to me, so I've had it for a number of months now. He is quite acquainted to the place, and Sunny was actually about this size when I got him, probably a little bit smaller. When I got him, he was in a pretty stuck shed. It was basically entirely there. It took a few hours to get it off, but luckily he lived through it and he was perfectly fine with it, I think. But now that he has been in the new home, he's gained some weight because he was a bit underweight. Luckily, the previous owners really did care about him and were responsible and found him a new home, which is here. I think he's enjoying the new husbandry. Luckily, I already had all the stuff I needed to set up the enclosure. Got a recent shed from him. Looking good, no concerns there. And he's eating some, hoppers, fuzzies? Whichever one's bigger. I always forget. Luckily, he is eating frozen. I was scared he would only eat live because he wasn't actually eating before I got him. But he just switched over very easily, and I've had no trouble with him. He's just super tiny and super cute, but he's definitely going to grow up to Sunny's size. He's got those bold colors. I've talked about it before, that nice stripe going down the back. It's not anything super special, but I always think it's really cool. His eyes are huge. That's always the thing I notice. Maybe it's just some sort of illusion, but I feel like, I don't know, do snakes grow into their eyes like a puppy would grow into their paws or something? Because that's how I feel like it is with them. The thing I love about the tiny ball pythons, or just tiny snakes in general, is they feel so soft and smooth. The scales are so small you don't even really feel them. It just feels like one nice, squishy, smooth. It feels cool. I don't know how to describe it. We might as well keep the snake streak going. This is Gobi, the Reverso corn snake, and I've officially had him for 2 years. 2 years ago is when I uploaded my little rescue video. It was more just a rehoming than a rescue. He's a snake that was in pretty bad conditions, could have been worse, but it was pretty bad. If you want to have a nice little flashback, you can go watch that video where you can see just how tiny he is in that. He was underweight, so he was the snake that had not been fed in months. He was actually only eating live too, and as soon as I got him, immediately he took frozen. He just did not care. He wanted some food, and since then, 2 years ago, he has not gone a single week without missing a meal, and that has definitely got him to pack on some weight. As you can see, pretty large. Now, I've always said he. I don't even know why I started saying he. I sort of just did a quick tail check and I was like, yeah, maybe it's a he. But I still haven't officially sexed him and I'm kind of scared to now. I don't even know how old he is though. But Gobi is officially an adult. I bring him to a ton of festivals around the state. He's always my go-to snake for that. And people are always so amazed by the colors because like we see these somewhat often. But it's an animal that other people really don't see that aren't involved with reptiles. Here's what seems to be one of the channel favorites. So many of you always talk about Shadow being your favorite animal in the room, which that's not all bad. I just think it's interesting because she's not like a super rare species. Well, I guess they're kind of rare in the trade because you don't really find them captive bred, but if I can get a male rat snake, hopefully you can expect some eggs. Since I made that one video about her eggs, if you haven't seen it, you can go watch that. Would you calm down just a little? People are still asking what happened to them. I've said it like 3 dozen times since that video. But the eggs did not make it because they were dehydrated. Okay, just to make it simple, the eggs died. RIP, we've all gotten over it. She goes through kind of phases of how she is about handling. Some days she's perfectly fine, other days she isn't. It will be interesting though to see just how large she gets, because rat snakes can get like 7+ feet sometimes, or 6+ feet maybe, and she's grown a ton while I've had her over the past 1.5 years maybe. So maybe I do need to do more on the black or eastern rat snakes, even because a lot of you ask about the husbandry with them, but honestly I just duplicate the corn snake husbandry. I just might change the size based on how large she gets, because they're from the same region, about the same size, both colubrids, pretty much eat the same things. The only difference being there's less information on these in captivity online, but I might still dedicate some videos if you're interested. You can even see right there's that really bold pattern, and their colors do change a lot as they grow, but there are plenty of white specks all showing up all across the side there. She's also been very good about not musking. It's been quite a while since I was musked on. It's only like once every so often, very unoccasionally now, that she does musk, and she's gonna take the microphone over. Okay, well, away she goes. They are, I guess you could consider them semi-arboreal, and you can definitely see it just based on how strong they are when climbing anything she can get to in the room. But that Shadow, let me know if you want to see more of her or any other animals in the room. Also forgot to mention, as she disappears, she is on adult mice now, and I think she's going to be ready to go to jumbo mice pretty soon. So we'll see just how long it takes her to get up to the good old rats with Sunny. I think Gobi might actually have to switch to rats too though, because he's on the jumbo mice, and if he keeps growing, we might have to see an upgrade on the size with him too. Hopefully you're not all noodled out because we have one more snake to go. She's the smallest snake, but she's probably made the biggest difference since you've actually seen her in a video featuring her. This is the Kenyan Sand Boa, just a normal, named Ember, and she is a female, which I got from Repticon. But as you can see, well, maybe you can tell, maybe you can't, she's grown a lot, and she's definitely got some nice thickness on her now. Some people's Kenyan Sand Boas, I've had a lot of people saying how they've had trouble with their snake, which I didn't even realize how big of an issue that was until I just started getting like tons of messages about it. Luckily, she's only not eaten a few times. It's mostly in like the first couple months maybe, but now she's eating consistently, and she's probably eating the biggest food compared to her because there's no like perfect size to feed her right now. So I am going with the larger one. I'm still doing once a week because like it's not like I'm completely fattening her up and making her obese, but at the same time she is growing pretty fast. I can expect her to get about 3 feet or so. So a pretty small snake overall, but definitely a super interesting one, and one that I always think is one of the most unique. I like to put them in the category with like maybe hognesses and other types of sand boas, because they're all like the snakes that stay small, but they're also super weird and not too difficult. Also, for the first time, she had a tiny piece of stuck shed on her face last time she shed, which wasn't too long ago, and one of the eye caps was really stuck on there, so I got everything off but there was that one eye cap. So I've now officially used quite a few techniques trying to get that off. I've had that happen a couple times in the past, but usually just a quick little wipe and it's off. Luckily, it's all off now and she's good to go, and looking nice and hot in her new shed. Next up, we can move on to the turtles in the room, starting with the little eastern box turtle, who is named Harriet, because that's Franklin's sister in that old cartoon, and Franklin is the other turtle, which you probably know, unless you're new to the channel. She is still very small. I've had her for well over a year now, but she's been growing like 1.5 grams a month. It actually took her a really long time to gain just 1 gram when she was so small. I'm just assuming that's because she was being fed quite a bit. But they do live a super long time. She's guaranteed to outlive me. She could even outlive my kids. That's kind of weird to think about. And she just tried to eat my fingernail. Just add some fake blood to this and we're good to become a clickbait reptile channel. So it's fun to give her variety in her diet. Well, fun to feed it to her, and because it's pretty important for her if she won't walk off my hand. I mostly do feed her the turtle pellets because I know that's a complete diet, but in addition to that, I make sure to add little insects like dubias, really tiny newborn dubias, newborn mealworms, and the occasional thing like a couple strawberries or maybe a blueberry or something nice and tasty with some extra vitamins in there. And it's kind of amazing how much she can eat. She's actually still in a 10-gallon. She still has not outgrown it. She would definitely love an upgrade soon because she is very active. But because she is such a slow grower, I've got some time if I really do have to take longer. The cool thing is, as she grows, she's like already completely used to people. So she's gonna be like the friendliest box turtle on earth because she grew up from basically the very start of her life around people. Also, a couple reptile rooms ago, I was asking if she had shell rot on the front, but everyone told me it was just her egg sac and that would go, or remnants of like her egg yolk or whatever, that would go away. And you were all right, because it is gone now. Also, she's really strong for like a 2.5-inch turtle. She can really pull herself out of your hand. But I might as well ask another box turtle question in this video. What are some good things that I can add to her diet that she might like? Maybe some extra treats that I might not already know about. So that'd be cool to know for her. Here's the next turtle we got, the little tiny snapping turtle. I think I actually did a live stream when I found this snapper. This is one that was in a residential area that was going under a lot of construction, so all of the areas that it was originally in are now gone because there were woods before. But it's been doing quite well, and I think the funny thing is how different it is when it's in and out of water. I don't actually know if it's male or female. I forgot. Someone told me. Well, I'll just say whatever gender I want in this video. But when it's in and out of the water, it's very different because it's completely comfortable in the water. It's like scooting around, it'll follow you as you walk past the enclosure, ready for some food. And once it's out, it's a little bit nervous. As you can imagine, there's still a bit of growing to do with this turtle. But it gets to eat a variety of things. Right now I give it turtle pellets, shrimp, small dubia, and all sorts of little tasty things that it can snack on. It is still in a 10-gallon, but I'll just start upgrading it slowly or quickly if I want, into different size aquariums, and then I can move to tubs and even bigger things, but I've got quite a bit of time with that. Also, I still haven't found any duckweed. I contacted all of the aquariums and stores and stuff around me. None of them sell any duckweed, so I'm gonna have to order it online. I'm kind of scared to order live plants online, but it looks like some have decent reviews, so we'll see if I waste $20 and get a bunch of dead plants. If you've watched the channel before, you probably know who's next. This is Franklin the Red-Eared Slider. Probably the majority of people's favorite animal in the room, and he's already getting irritated. I just woke him up. Hopefully he'll forgive me. Franklin is a Red-Eared Slider, like I mentioned. He was another one of the animals that was rehomed to me. Luckily, although he was in pretty sucky care, they did find a new home instead of releasing him like a lot of people do. Also, everyone's always telling me to trim his claws. You're not supposed to do that. He's supposed to have long, luxurious claws like that. He definitely shows some of the most personality. I'm sure I've already said a lot of this in old reptile rooms, but he is kind of a creature of habit. And unfortunately, I've kind of spoiled him with letting him get out of his enclosure because I do have that little turtle bridge, which you might have seen me build. The bridge, I still like it. It's really cool. He knows how to get up and down on it. But he really takes full advantage of it. And he will not hesitate in the morning to hop right out over that bridge and walk around for a while. I have to make sure he gets enough EVB. If you don't know when I got him, he had a ton of rod. It was like over half of his shell, which maybe like about half of his shell was just covered in the tan colored rotting away shell, along with a bunch of algae, which the algae wasn't dangerous, and I'm gonna have to limit his time outside to make sure he does get the optimal amount of UVB and heating. So if you're thinking of letting your turtle free roam, maybe do what I did at first and only let them out at night if it's a very safe area to do so, and there's like nowhere they can get, nothing they can mess with, nothing that'll mess with it. Maybe consider it. Still not necessarily the best idea, but if you do only let them do that more when the lights are off, you don't have to worry about them missing out on some UVB or heating, which is a small concern, well, a big concern of mine, but a small concern because I can fix that. But he probably gets the most attention because he's always walking over to you. If for some reason you're ever walking in this room, I'm sure he'll come and greet you very quickly. He is still rocking his baby pool. A lot of people do use the baby pools and they're completely fine. My only concern with them is that they're not as deep as something like a large 100-gallon stock tub or something. One of the concerns with that is them flipping over and not being able to get back over. I've seen him do it. I know that it's high enough that he can flip over. And the other thing is they do just have less space to swim around up and down. However, they do have more size, like in a circumference, so there's more area to swim and less depth. So people kind of argue about that. He's still in his pool because he's so used to it. He seems happy and healthy in it, and that works. And I'll go ahead and stick him under his UVB now, so he gets a couple more hours of that before they go off. Next we can move on to the amphibians. The Pac-Man Frog, who I actually don't have him out right now, just because he's more content in the enclosure and I can get you some shots of him in there. I've had him for a very short period of time. He's one of the animals that you have not seen in an actual Reptile Room update, just maybe 1 or 2 videos. So far he seems quite content in the new home. It's been a few weeks now, also eating dubia roaches. At first I actually couldn't get him to eat. I realized it was just because I was trying to feed him too large of roaches. It's time to just give him more of the smaller ones that are closer to the newborn size, and he seems very happy with that. But really, how much is there to say about a Pac-Man Frog? We've talked about him quite a bit in that first video I did on him. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if I already moved him or not, but when I did the other video, but now he is in a 10-gallon with a bit of extra space. And I check back, like I'm always checking on the reptiles throughout the day and throughout the week. And each time I come back, he's always in a slightly different space, whether he moved across the 10-gallon or just around a little bit. I do also want to add some live plants in there for some extra cover, but it seems to be working out for him. Right here is one of the American toads. Just gonna take one out because it's hard enough to keep one from jumping away. I realize though, American toads are the one species that I have never not had. I've had American toads long before I even caught it, before I even got my first snake, and I've never been without them since then. I think they're very underrated. I'm actually probably gonna do a video on how they're underrated. The only issue is they're really not bred in captivity yet, which I would love to do that if I could get it to work. I've tried a couple years. I think the issue is I didn't brewmate them, so maybe that's something for the future. But the toads are crazy eaters. They've been loving their dubias. I sourced them from crickets to mealworms to dubias over a number of years. They seem to be very happy with the roaches, with no issues. Some people say you shouldn't even feed mealworms to amphibians because they do have harder shells, but I had no issues with them for a very long time. I just switched to dubias because they are more nutritious and less gross to keep actually, and easier to breed. And yeah, people have just been asking for a lot more on American toads, so I'm actually probably not going to talk about them much today, just because I want to save more of that info for dedicated videos on them. But there's the toad, majestic and proud. Here is the next lizard. He was actually my second reptile that I got in 2014. He is a Trimper albino patternless orange giant leopard gecko, and he's pretty big. Honestly, I've never really been hands-on with normal sized leopard geckos, so to me he looks normal, but after watching videos he does look a little bit larger. But a very bright animal. I think he deserves the name Goldie. And you really don't see that much of him. I think mostly, I'm not really sure why, but he's an animal that I really prefer to just look at. Like, I love to watch him eat and do his thing around the enclosure, especially at night when he's most active. But I really don't handle him very often. I'm not even sure how much of a fan he is of it, but he tolerates it pretty well. Definitely better than a lot of other geckos, and he stays nice and calm. He's gone through a lot of different diets too, because before I got him, he was completely on superworms, and then I couldn't get him to eat the superworms. So I eventually got him eating mealworms, and then I got tired of mealworms and I decided dubias would be much better. So now he's very happy with his dubias, and he recognizes that little skitter sound that the dubias make in the plastic bowl. So as soon as I put that in, he like sprints out of whatever hide he is, no matter what time of day it is, and he gets eating. Also, I think Goldie's enclosure is one that's really never evolved at all. Well, there was that one time that I really changed it up, and then he didn't like it and I didn't like it, so I changed it back. But he's just got his reptile carpet in a 20-gallon long. But that's but that is Goldie, the giant leopard gecko, doing nice and well. Still nice and calm and enjoying life, I think. Right here I've got Olive the blue-tongued skink, who I got over 2 years ago. She was my third or fourth reptile that I purchased. Also got her at Repticon, I think in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's the same place as a couple of my other animals. Some of you have noticed, I can't tell how it is right now, but she was, a couple weeks ago, or maybe a little over a month ago, she was looking thinner than the average blue-tongued skink of her age. So she is on the lower side, and I realized I wasn't feeding her quite as much as I should. So I have upped that diet for like a couple months now. And I'm not sure how much of a difference you can tell, but I am seeing a difference already, and if I have to, I can continue to adjust the diet. I might even try one of the dog foods that we've talked about, which you might be confused because I made that video on not feeding dog food. It was my fault with the way I kind of marketed the video, because the title was like, "This is why you shouldn't feed blue-tongued skinks dog food" or something. So I changed that to "Don't feed blue-tongued skinks this type of dog food," because that's what I really meant to get across, because that was focused on the ones with preservatives and grains and the gross stuff. So she is her weight is definitely changing now. If I really do have to, I can try one of those completely natural, truly good dog foods that we briefly highlighted in those videos on her. But for now, she seems all good. Her enclosure size, I'm happy with the size of the enclosure, but it's still too boring for me, and she would probably like a little extra in it. I don't know if she even notices, but I have so many enclosures that I want to upgrade, and I'm definitely doing some this month, but I don't know how many I'll be able to squeeze in. So we'll see. Olive might have to wait a little bit longer, but I'm sure she doesn't mind. Other than that, she's still very sassy as always. I think she's actually the most active lizard right now, and after the turtles, maybe the most active animal all around. You can see she's just on the move right now. She has a ton of energy. For the past number of months, I've had UVB on her, which is not required, but it's been shown to be beneficial, and I have seen her out a lot more basking under that. It is getting colder now, so I do also have a heat lamp on her, which I'm pretty sure I talked about that in the setup video, where I prefer heat mats, but then if I need to, I'll also add that lamp because I do have to do that in the winter. Blue tongues always kind of remind me of like a snake that wanted to become a lizard, so it sprouted some legs, but they just couldn't quite get long enough to truly be a lizard, even though of course they are a lizard. Like if you look at their eyes and ears, there's plenty of things, but that's how they're supposed to be because they are more of a burrowing species, or just digging, and less of a climber. But her claws are really sharp. She could probably climb if she really wants to. Whee! Away she goes. The angle and the lighting is a bit weird now, but right here, bundled up, that's taking a little nap. That's taking a little nap in there. Was taking a nap. Is the Savannah Monitor, the newest animal, one that a lot of you have been asking for. I've been putting this on Instagram a lot, so make sure you go follow there to see all the stuff on the story at go_herping, so you can see all of her baths and stuff. So I can't remember how in detail I went in the first video on the Savannah Monitor, but I've definitely noticed a lot and already learned quite a bit since doing that video. Now, I let her bathe because one, she really likes it, or he, still don't know. Two, because it's a good little bonding time. It really calms it down. It was a bit dehydrated, multiple people agreed, so that's hopefully been helping with hydration along with proper husbandry, which I'm sure it's still not perfect. I'm still figuring everything out, but it does appear to be better hydration-wise for her. But overall, pretty calm, and really at first it was like really freaking out. Still have quite a ways to go, but once it chills out in the bath or warms up in the bath, because it's a nice little warm bath, I can usually put my hand under it and kind of pick it up. Sometimes it'll even basically just come over. It'll stay very chill, very calm, even closes its eyes and falls asleep until my arm falls asleep because I don't want to move. And then occasionally when you get a GoPro just a little too close. So gotta learn from that, and gonna keep with zoom lenses so I don't have to get cameras too close to her in the future. Other things, like I think I mentioned before, there's quite a few of the little claws missing on its toes. I believe that's usually from stuck sheds. Also, if it's possibly wild caught, like I said, it could be wild caught because I got this from someone that got it from someone else. So it was like very poor husbandry. So then someone else took it, gave it some okay husbandry, then brought it here, and I'm working on getting that husbandry even better. So it's definitely not like a super young baby, but it is still pretty young. So this should be a good bit of time, hopefully, to get it adjusted. But finishing it off, it's kind of late now and I still need to edit this. I don't know if it's going to get up on the first. Also, he's been eating really well. At first it was only taking rodents for some reason, just for a few days, which ideally most sources and most people are saying to feed it primarily insects. So it's eating dubroaches really well now. Trying to follow a couple different feeding schedules that I found online and seeing what works best. And I'm just doing the same supplement dusting as I would with other animals, like my leopard gecko or blue-tongued skink or whatever. Also, the audio might be different now because I'm just squeezing this in because I forgot. Something really interesting is just how much body language they use that really clearly communicates to you. Like whether they're tensing up or puffing up or like sitting down or backing up or curling its tail or giving it just different looks with its eyes, whether the eyes are kind of relaxed. It's like pretty relaxed right now, or if they're like super wide open and alert, or they're closed, and then how much the tongue is flicking, all sorts of things that I never even realized I'll start noticing. Still some little patches of stuck shed from before. I don't exactly want to pull those off like you would a snake, because I know lizards are different in that way. But little pieces each time I bathe it, they are coming off, so I'm pretty sure it'll all be off by the time it sheds again. And it looks like all the shed is off all the toes, so it won't be losing any more claws. But we can finish the reptile room off here with the little Savannah Monitor. What was that, 14? 15? Got 15 herps going on in the reptile room now. Lots more to come with their setups and just husbandry on certain animals. Definitely not these yet. And who knows, maybe some more animals. So we'll see. Hopefully you enjoyed. No idea how long this reptile room was, but if you're still watching, then cool. So that'll be it. Quick plug again. The Instagram is go_herping. But that'll be it for this reptile room. Well, I'll definitely see you before the next reptile room because that will be in like another 4 months probably. Maybe 2018 one. We'll see. But I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.